Hello, welcome back to Learn Economy, and today we are going to discuss the concept of greatest happiness principle. So let's have a look onto the very same here. In the very beginning itself, I would like to tell you that the idea of greatest happiness principle is being put forward by a very famous British philosopher, Jeremy Bentham. So this person is actually very much known for his ideas of moral philosophy, and again his idea of principle of utilitarianism is making this person very much famous. So actually the idea of utilitarianism or the principle of utilitarianism is evaluating the actions based on consequences. So an action can be evaluated just by looking onto its impact or consequences. So it just look onto the impact that an action is creating, whether it is creating a positive impact or a negative impact. Is it influencing a large number of people or a small number of people? So such kind of impact is something that is addressed, and an action is again considered as something vital or non-vital by looking on to its consequences. Again, positive or negative consequences is taken here. So, coming to the idea of greatest happiness principle, it is also known as the principle of utility. You know that as far as utility is concerned, utility looks on to the want satisfying capacity. Want satisfying capacity or power. So if you are considering a commodity, you just look on to the want satisfying power of a commodity. If you're considering a service, you just look on to the want satisfying power of that service. So this is the basic idea of utility, and we have already looked on to the different ways in which we consider utility. There exists cardinal way of looking onto utility, where we say that utility can be measured in terms of numbers, in terms of utils you can express utility. And also you do have ordinal way of looking onto utility, which says that utility is something that cannot be measured, but instead what we can do here is that it could be ranked. So that is the microeconomic way of looking onto the different approaches that will be considering utility. Now we are considering the welfareistic approach of utility. So what happens here is we are considering utility. So what happens here when utility increases? When utility increases, we can say that it will show an increase in welfare. If you say that the utility of society is increasing, that means that the society's welfare is increasing. If you say that the utility of a person is increasing, that means that his welfare is increasing. So the utilitarian ethics is actually considering the principle of utility. So utilitarians are those group of economists who are giving some ideas related to utility. So as far as the greatest happiness principle, it just suggests that when we consider the consequence of an action, we need to consider the morality of an action, and this morality of action could be evaluated by considering the ability of that action. So the role of ability again comes here. So what is this ability all about talking? The ability of the action so as to maximize the happiness of people. So if a particular action is maximizing the happiness or well-being of people or welfare of people, then you can say that that is one of the best action. Or if the same action is minimizing the suffering of people, then you can say that that is the best action. If a particular action is maximizing the happiness of people and simultaneously if it is minimizing the happiness of greatest number of people, then such actions are identified to be the best action. So how can you say that there is an explanation for greatest happiness principle? So we will be choosing an action that will be promoting more happiness to more number of people. For example, if you are having two alternatives, action A and action B, So we can attain the same kind of goal when we go for action A and action B. So just suppose like this. But what happens is that we are looking on to a scenario, how much happiness is given to how many number of people. Let's suppose that A is giving welfare to 11 people and B is giving happiness or welfare to 15 people. So just suppose that the welfare, the extent of welfare that people are getting in this case would be almost the same. So in such case, you could see that B is giving welfare to 15 number of people, and we know that 15 is definitely more than 11. So it's always better to go for alternative B. This is what is a morally right kind of approach as far as the greatest happiness principle is concerned. So it just says that an action is identified to be morally right if it is producing an overall happiness. So compared to its alternative. So here you know that an alternative to B is A. So when we have two options A and B, we are looking on to the consequence of the action. So A is an action and B is another action. Which action is creating more happiness to more number of people? So we are looking on to the effect or consequence or impact of a particular action. So what we are considering here is this particular principle seeks to promote the greatest overall happiness. So we can have different interests. So what we do here is we just prioritize our interest and we rank interest. So interest ranking are taken here and prioritizing the interest by considering the interest of the majority. So the greatest happiness for greatest number of people. That is the main idea here. So we have seen that Bentham was a person who was behind the greatest happiness principle. But again, you can say that there have been many other economists who have supported the idea of greatest happiness principle. And John Stuart Mill is yet another philosopher who was promoting the idea of greatest happiness principle, and he also believed that moral decisions as well as policies should be promoted based on its consequences, based on the happiness that it would be generating. If a particular policy is generating so much of happiness to the public, just take that policy, just implement that policy. So whenever you go for a policy, it's always important to ensure that it is creating pleasure, it is creating satisfaction, it is creating some quality of life, it is creating some benefits for the people, and so on. And then you can promote that particular policy. Otherwise, if it is creating suffering, just reject that policy. So moral quality is very important here. And we can say that if you are taking a policy, just aim at the greatest happiness of the greatest number of people. So this greatest happiness for greatest number, this should be our target every time. This is the idea of greatest happiness principle. So that's all about today. Thank you for watching. You can like, share and subscribe our channel for more videos. You can also join our free Telegram community. I'll be providing the link of the same in the description box. You can also download the Learn Oikonomia app, for which also I'll be providing the link in the description box. That's it. Thank you for watching.